Hey guys, how's it going? I hope everyone's having a great day so far. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about taking action, just simply because it's the only thing that can lead to real results. For instance, if you have something you've been wanting to do and you're having a hard time pulling the trigger on getting started, obviously you are probably not going to make progress on that thing. So I'm kind of hoping with this video today, I'll be able to inspire somebody to potentially take action on something that they've been maybe holding off on for a while. um, maybe it's a creative endeavor or I don't know, some sort of goal that somebody's been wanting to work on. But yeah, again, my hope is just that maybe somebody out there watching this video will take something away from this, and who knows, maybe it'll inspire somebody to start maybe their own YouTube channel or get started on thinking about how to make their own business or get away from that job that they're working if they want to find a new job. But other than that, um, real quick, I just want to talk about kind of where I've been for the last week before I get into the video with meat and potatoes, I guess. So I had to travel recently due to some family circumstances, and I guess all's all right with that. I'm back now. I haven't played this game in well over 7 days now, so I'm completely behind schedule on the things I had planned to finish in February. So a lot of that stuff's getting rolled over now into in February, or sorry, the things I had planned for January are getting rolled over into February now, just simply because um, I wasn't playing the game as much to begin with, and then I had all this family stuff that had happened. So now, kind of playing catch up a bit. I've made quite a lot of progress here on the infinite potion piece for um, Shuriken. I have 14 on me on this character right now. I've got about 35, 36 total pieces in my storage, I think. So I think after the weekly quest that I have picked up right now, after that, I'll be somewhere around like 40 to 50, hopefully by the end of this quest. So about halfway finished with this, I guess, after this grind session or these next couple grind sessions, and then um, after that, it's just a little bit more to go, and then I'll be fully finished with the infinite potion. And then I will also be finished up with the Jatina Pen Crescent. I'm like super close to finishing this up. I think I literally have like maybe 4 days or something left on that quest, and then I'll be done with that. But yeah, that's just my quick, I guess not so quick update of where I've been at for the last week. I am planning on spending back up with 2 videos per week, just simply because I have a little bit more time now between work and stuff like that. So we'll see. If anything else happens, I may end up having to travel again for a little bit. But in the meantime, I am back and going to be focusing on trying to get the 2 videos in per week. So with that all being said, I'm going to continue on with the video now about taking action. Now, as most of you know, and I mentioned this earlier, the hardest part for most people in general is just getting started on a task. And I think there is one way that I've found, at least, to really smooth the process over of like getting started, especially if it's something new. I did it with my YouTube channel. I've done it with previous business endeavors. I've done it with applying to jobs, pretty much everything. It's pretty much been my go-to strategy, and it's kind of combining my previous video I had made on the concept of non-zero days with um, basically just getting started on something. So the issue with new skills or new endeavors is that it's really hard to figure out what you need to do when you don't really know what you need to do, I guess. So what I mean by that is if you don't have a good starting point or something to start from, then obviously it's going to be a lot more of a process to get started on something than if you had a pretty doesn't even have to be a super well thought out plan, but just some sort of plan that kind of gives you direction to act on. And that's honestly where I start with everything. So if, for instance, I take my YouTube channel, and when I was first getting started with it, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know anything about making YouTube videos. I had a little bit of prior knowledge from streaming. I had OBS set up, and I already had stuff for like audio recording and whatever else, just simply because I played video games with my friends on Discord, and I've always just liked tech stuff. So I had um, like a microphone set up and whatever else. So like I had a little bit of a starting point already established. However, for instance, if you've been wanting to do a YouTube channel and you've been holding off and you don't have all this equipment, um, you might have, say, a pretty modern phone. Most people do. If you don't, you might have to figure out a way to get maybe like a cheap clip-on mic and just some basic recording software. So my starting was a little bit different than most people, but let's just say, for instance, you don't have any of that stuff already prepared. So what I did is I kind of just looked at what people who are kind of successfully doing what I'm wanting to do, kind of looked at what their setup was like, the stuff that they were using, and then I just looked up for like general like tips and help with content creation in terms of just getting everything set up. And so my first couple of days, I spent a lot of time researching things, getting OBS Studio and all that stuff set up, or just OBS, Open Broadcasting Software. I got that all set up, and then I kind of looked into basic audio equipment, figured out how to set up like my headphone and everything to get it so that way, or my microphone and everything, so I could figure out how to just record the stuff that I wanted and not worry so much about if it's recording a bunch of background noise, whatever. I spent a bunch of time researching this. I looked up tutorials, I read articles, I read a little bit of like literature, books and stuff like that on the topic, and then I just kind of broadened my general knowledge and understanding of the topic. And just by researching and just taking a look to see what people who are successfully doing the thing that I want to do are doing, it kind of helped me understand and create a base to work from that you normally just wouldn't have if you just went into something blind. And so just by spending, maybe a couple days just kind of researching and finding some sources in order to, have a little bit of a platform to work from, it really accelerated my ability to get started into something, but also it kind of reduced the friction that you would normally have at first with starting up a new skill. Because if you don't know where to start, it's super overwhelming, obviously, and it's just so easy to get started down the wrong path. So first step, definitely figure out a way to build like a little basic platform, kind of broaden your general knowledge around the topic. And then now you kind of know the things that you need to know, and you have an idea of where to go for those. So once you've done all of that research, you've got a general understanding of the topic. So maybe you understand, how to set up OBS, how to start recording, how to put it into a basic video editor to stitch the clips together. And then you just are generally a little bit more comfortable with the software. Then at that point, you can move on to what I like to call step 2, and that's kind of the planning phase. So in the planning phase, I'm essentially just putting together the basic strategy or outline of how I'm going to record my videos. And it's not something that is set in stone. So for instance, when I made my first videos, the plan that I had to like make videos, it ended up not working for me, and so I changed it and I tinkered it a little bit along the way. And for a while I had a, I guess, system or like a strategy that I was using for a while to record videos that worked really well. And then now, since I came back, I have kind of tinkered and tailored it again to a different strategy. So my strategy in the beginning was to basically leverage my writing skills, and I would write like a topic or something, or like a little mini article, and then I would basically just read it out loud into a microphone. And I started with that for a while until I kind of got more comfortable with the whole setup. And then eventually I realized that it wasn't really working that well. Like the content, I was able to record some things, but I just was never happy with it. Um, I would be kind of annoyed, I guess, by, I don't know, the way that like I sounded. It just sounded like really fake and monotonous, which I am somebody who I'm pretty monotone sometimes. I try really hard. It's kind of a conscious effort to make myself, I guess, have intonation and stuff like that in my speech and just like I guess show emotion. So that's something I've been working on, and I found that when I was at first following my first plan of scripting out the video fully and then just reading it into the microphone and then pasting that audio clip over top of like gameplay or something, I quickly found out that it was making that issue even worse, where like I just sounded depressed and I like sounded like a robot in all of my videos. So I quickly realized that wasn't working. And then I basically used that knowledge to go back and change my plan up again. And so I went at it with the approach now of just turning the recording on, grinding generally easy monsters, kind of like Shuriken and stuff like I'm doing right now, and just speaking, I guess, in a more conversational tone, the way that I normally would if I was talking to a good friend. And it seemed to flow a lot better. And so now that was kind of phase two of my planning. And that kind of brings me into the second part of being able to take action is once you have that plan in place, you stick with that plan for a while. And over time, you will start to kind of see the cracks or the faults in that plan. And then you can kind of change them and tinker them along the way. It's not meant to be like a static thing that is never changing. It's meant to be something that you iterate and evolve on. And that's just what I've done over time. And now I'm on essentially, I guess, what I would consider my third iteration of how I make my videos. And the next thing I would do is, in order to get good feedback for the plan I had in place, so for instance, it was a plan to make my videos, I looked at the feedback I got from the people who were watching my videos, for one. I took that into account. I changed my settings in my OBS and recording stuff accordingly. So like for a while I was too quiet, and so fixed that. Then I just fixed a couple of other things that people were kind of telling me that they noticed in my recordings. So I fixed that. And then the next thing I did was I kind of watched my own videos for a little bit, and this works for pretty much every skill, whether it's lifting weights and you're trying to get corrections on your form. You could be drawing and then you just review the things that you drew kind of from not necessarily like a harsh critic, but just like a critical perspective where you're open to looking for mistakes and not necessarily tearing yourself down, but finding opportunities for you to look for ways to improve. And it's so important to be able to do that. And so I noticed with my videos, I would always have kind of a rough start in the beginning, and it would take a while for me to get into not necessarily just a topic, but just to get into some sort of flow with my video. So I'd be discussing a topic and I would go, you know, the first 5 or so minutes and it would be really slow. Like I'd have a lot of pauses in my speech just because I was trying to like formulate exactly what it is I'm trying to say, because I am doing all these videos like on the fly. These are definitely not scripted. I am sure it's very obvious to tell, especially if you look at some of my earlier videos. They're not scripted at all. So all of this stuff is just coming to me on the fly as I speak. And I'm also multitasking because I'm playing Black Desert at the same time, and it can just be kind of hectic. So I noticed that actually, hold on, give me a second. I don't want to die to this guy. But I noticed that since I was having these rough starts in my videos, that in order to kind of smooth that out, I switched over to having a little bit more of a scripted format in the beginning. So I would script out the very first, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 seconds of my video. And now, just based off of like this video right now, because this is a brand new plan that I'm trying, it seems a lot better. It got my brain, I guess, kind of warmed up and focused on making a video. The content's rolling out a little bit more smooth. And I was just able to hit that flow a little bit easier as opposed to having it take like, 5, 6 minutes into the video where I'm just kind of trying to gather my thoughts and everything to get everything together. And so far, this plan seems to be working a lot better than I had, success with my other plans. It's just working a lot better. And this is kind of the stage that it's pretty much permanent. Like you can never there's never just one way to do something, and something that works for a very long time, chances are it won't work forever. You'll have to make some sort of changes to it. And being able to have this plan that you can basically just experiment with and try new things to figure out what works for you and what doesn't, that alone is enough, at least for me, to get me kind of motivated and inspired to kind of take action and just get started on the things that I'm working on. And so with these three things, just being able to develop that base of knowledge, create a very, very basic plan, and allow yourself the time and space to review and iterate on that plan, that's oftentimes enough, at least for me, to take action. And if you are wanting to start your own YouTube channel, if you're wanting to be an artist, or if you're wanting to get into lifting weights and you want to improve your form, literally anything, if you go into it completely blind, I guarantee you that experience is going to be very stressful, especially for something like, I don't know, content creation, where you've got more of a public eye, I guess, like more people are able to see the things that you're putting out. People can criticize you more so than they would, I guess, in real life. If you're like, I don't know, lifting weights at a gym for the first time, most people won't really say anything, especially if you look like a beginner. And most people just aren't really paying attention to what you do anyways in general. But if you first focus on getting that base of knowledge, you can kind of boost up your confidence a little bit. You'll have a little bit more faith in your own ability and yourself. You'll have a little bit more of an idea to figure out exactly what it is that you don't know and what you need to know or what you need to improve on. And then you formulate a plan around that. And even if that plan doesn't work, you now have like a direction or like an aim or a focus. And since it's so streamlined and hopefully the plan that you created was simple enough that you can just take action on it, then you kind of cure, or I wouldn't say cure, but you at least smooth out that beginning process of just getting started. And it does a lot, at least for me. At first, I didn't think that this YouTube thing was going to be sustainable for me. I didn't think it was going to be something that I would stick with, and now it's one of my favorite things that I do. So after you've got that basic plan, go ahead and take your first step towards doing whatever it is that you were trying to get started on in the first place. And after that, you've got some data, some feedback, and then you can go ahead and just keep changing that plan up until you find something that works for you, gives you a little bit of success. And then again, it doesn't stop there. Obviously, you keep iterating and growing and changing up your plan to formulate, a way for you to just keep on growing. And eventually, before you know it, it'll become a habit, especially if you stick with it long term. If you, for instance, just make a plan and you do something twice, and obviously when you start out, it's probably going to be uncomfortable, and you're just like, oh, this is super uncomfortable, and give up. Uh, Obviously, you didn't really gather enough feedback or give yourself the chance to iterate and grow and change that plan up. So definitely stick with it, give it a shot, create some plans, develop your base knowledge, and see if you can get started on that thing you've been holding off for a while. Again, I just want to thank everybody for the constant support on my videos. It's been great. I love hearing from you guys in the comments. So if you have any feedback, please let me know. I try to respond to absolutely everyone who comments, just because you took the time out of your day to comment on my video. So I'm definitely going to try and take the time out of my day to respond. And again, just thank you, and I hope everyone's having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.